It's good. Yeah, that's, I first.
Okay.
Are we up? Is it one second? Oh, no, we're good.
We're just, they've been doing some construction, upgrading all the tech,
Oh,
so
yeah,
our.
We're not up to par.
Well, no, because some of it's not in place and working yet, so.
yeah,
What I normally say, this is gonna be being broadcast online by Westford Cable Access TV, I'll know that this week.
right, yeah.
But we're arranging for recordings,
Oh, good, yeah,
For
yeah.
the minutes taker.
That's smart.
yeah.
Oh, you're alone tonight. School committee? Anyway, using it happens every
Okay, so I'm going to call to order the Westford Conservation Commission meeting for February 12th, 2025. Due to some construction issues, this meeting is not being broadcast live by Westford Cable Access, but it is being recorded and it is anticipated that the recording will be available for playback online in the future. So the first item on the agenda is open forum. Do any members of the commission have anything for open forum? Matt?
I do not at this time, no.
Okay. Do any members of the audience have something for open forum? Okay, moving on to our other 7 PM agenda item, it's continuation of a public hearing and issue order of resource area delineation for Zom Living LLC, 37 Powers Road.
Hi, folks.
Good evening.
Good evening. For the administrative record, again, my name is David Cowell. I'm a senior wetland scientist with Hancock Associates. This is the continued matter in the hearing of in the ANRAD for 37 Powers Road. As we had last left off, we were confident in our wetland delineation, but there remained a discussion about whether or not my applicant or my client was afforded the exemptions afforded to gravel pit ponds. So, and again, this is uncharted territory for me as well. So we did hire legal counsel who looked at it, evaluated it, opined on it, and then talked to town council. And I understand that town council did not take the same position that our attorney had. And at this point, you know, rather than drag this out or any appeal, my client is at this point willing to assent to jurisdiction over those gravel pit ponds and will treat them as such. So since then, we revised our plan to demarcate the boundary of jurisdiction on these gravel pit ponds and have updated our plan to detail the associated setbacks and buffer zones. And my client will abide by those. So the resource area around these gravel pit ponds, it's inland bank, there isn't any associated upland BVW. One of the requests I had in working with both Matt Salem and tonight we have Rich Kirby, the peer review consultant on behalf of the town, was to demarcate the top of bank based on topography. So we went out in the field, we actually did a site walk just to verify that there wasn't any upgrading of BVW and that the bank is pretty well defined. I think we agreed in these locations. So we've, and I think that our lines are even a bit conservative. The definition of bank is, first observable breaking slope or median high water, whichever is lower. In this case, we don't want to go down and shoot median high water at the toe of that slope, so we took the top of slope. And with that, Rich and Matt had both asked on our last site walk if you would just assign a fixed elevation and carry that contour around the top of these things, that it should meet our purposes without necessity of individual wetland flags around it. So that's what we've done, and at this point, I would turn it back to the Conservation Commission and perhaps even Rich Kirby. You know, I think we're at a point where we're hoping to finalize this. Again, the client is more interested in advancing their proposal for development than dragging this out. In fact, I believe they already have plans in front of planning or some other, they
Planning to
planning.
file a plan.
Okay, right, so that's no secret, that's coming shortly thereafter. Imagine the notice of intent would follow as well. So with that, I would turn it back to you.
Matt,
I recommend going to the peer reviewer, Rich.
Rich,
Sure, thanks. Rich Kirby, LEC Environmental. Matt and I had the opportunity to walk the site with David last week, I think it was.
Yeah.
And we took a look at these areas with a revised plan.
Pointer.
Of course, yeah.
I'll give you I don't know which
one's
button
the
it is.
least?
Orange button.
Okay, there it is, okay. So we started at the site entrance and walked around passing this very small gravel pit pond. I think this one, looking at the aerial, there's no question that it meets the exemption criteria under the Act regulations and therefore under the bylaw regulations, because the language is the same. We walked by these fill piles and observed this gravel pit pond, and then observed this larger one here, and then this one down here. Now, the flags that you see delineate the bank to this pond. On the other side of these flags, there is a strip of water that appears to be basically a linear gravel pit pond that was excavated at some point. And that was sort of the contention. Well, does this meet the criteria for exemption or not? But what they've done is they've picked a contour along near the top of the slope. You can see these points along the contour. We're doing a pretty good job there.
Yeah.
And that is the boundary of the resource area from which the buffer zones extend. So they've conceded that all three ponds, this one, this linear one over here, and then this one down here are all jurisdictional. And you can see the 55, 75, and 100-foot buffer zones extending from those contour lines that they picked. So this is really the most conservative interpretation you could have as a result. My only recommendation, if and when a notice of intent is filed, that before construction, those points along those contours be staked or flagged in the field as the delineation. That would be a good thing to do.
That's fair.
So really, that's all I have at this point. It's pretty straightforward, and I'm happy no one's going to court.
Thanks, Rich.
One additional addition to the plan.
Oh, yeah.
They have the approximate limit of the property certified vernal pool.
Yep.
And as discussed in the field with Rich, since the buffer to that is within all the other wetland buffers, it wasn't mapped, and I don't think there's the intent to the intent with the future plan to be anywhere near it.
Right, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I think we mentioned in the end, right, that there is a proximal off-property certified vernal pool that occurs right at the property boundary there. So we at least wanted to have notation on our plan, locating it, as it occurs right at the property boundary. But as Matt implied, the buffer zones broadcast from the gravel pit ponds are much more conservative than that, which would be broadcast off the vernal pool in the first place. So.
Are there any comments or questions from members of the audience? No. So at this point, we're ready to issue the order, the resource area delineation.
Yes, as accurate for bordering, vegetated wetlands, wetlands flags, A 87 to A 135. Wetlands flags, BA 100 through BA 112. Wetlands flags B 106 through B 117. Wetlands flags C 100 through C 117. To the northwest of the property, are, wetland flags associated with the stream channel on the abutting property. Those are delineated as land under waterways, wetlands flags D 100 through D 110. Wetlands flags D 200 through D 230. And then the banks of ponds. Bank of Pond A at elevation 214. Pond B at elevation 250. And Pond C as elevation 240.
Can I have a motion to issue the order of resource area delineation? Second. All those in favor? Aye. Can I have a motion to close the public hearing? Second. All those in favor? Aye.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time, appreciate your patience in this matter, and confident I'll see you soon with a notice of intent. Thank you, everyone.
And now moving on to our 7:10 PM agenda item, Newport Construction, Boston Road right of way.
Walk everything. I don't.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Rod Cummings, project manager for Newport Construction,
Tim Chamberlain, superintendent.
and we're here to just discuss the minor modification to their previous request from back in October, which we requested working on that detention basin area and the roadway leading into it. And permission was granted up through basically the middle of this month, and then come back for additional time, and that's what we're here to discuss, as well as the use of that area temporarily.
So as this request was brought to my attention, I included my email, explaining kind of the thought process of the applicable general conditions, special conditions associated with the order of conditions. SDP 334-1823. Specifically, general condition 14, any change to the plans identified in condition 13 shall require the applicant to inquire of the Conservation Commission in writing whether the change is significant enough to require the final review. Notice of intent. Additionally, there were two special conditions that I thought pertinent to the request to stage the laydown area within the limit of work associated with the detention pond located between 70 Boston Road and 68 Boston Road. This is the entrance to the Peace Trail. And then the detention basin as a whole is located to the rear of the existing structure at 70 Boston Road. The limits of work and limits of clearing were delineated with caution tape. And the area has been cleared in accordance with the commission's approval for work after work between December 1st and April 1st. As approved back, I think, in November. And wanted to bring before the commission, for their consideration whether, this area could be used as a laydown area, for the construction project. What's the anticipated approximate, timeframe?
For the area to be used as a laydown area, so. I would say, 18 months roughly. That means we would have to move everything out after we work for 18 months and then dig the pond.
Right.
So that gives me, 6 months of work in there to move everything and dig the pond.
So where does that water go that's not being detained there?
So right now, so it would be the existing drainage from.
Okay, even during construction?
Even during construction, and I think there may be temporary erosion controls that are required. Kind of in proximate to the limit of work, while they're working during the day, but again, I don't anticipate much excavated material being stockpiled. On site during, I imagine, most days you're
So
gonna be
this is
back.
like steel, stone and other material, not liquids or any other type of material like that?
It wouldn't be liquids, no,
No,
but it would be excavated material from the site. Because it has to be stockpiled before we can test it and haul it off site. It would be new material being brought to the site to be used in
that's great.
incorporating
Yeah.
precast structures.
Like,
But nothing, no materials that would be hazardous if became uncontained,
No.
unconfined, anything like that. This is just more structural materials.
Yeah,
Up until this week, this detention pond, the plan had been to work on this early,
Yes,
get it functioning. right?
Yes.
So that it would provide, the ability to recharge from, water runoff from the whole Boston Road project, which currently goes down, next to Castle Road. And there's.
I think there's a couple between, behind one castle. I think there's also some overland flow, kind of at the corner going across the
So
field.
if this is gonna be occupied for 18 months with various construction material, it's not gonna be used as a drainage.
that's correct.
that's right.
So what happens to all the water that flows down now because of the
We,
wide road and added bike trails and bike path?
we will be installing the drainage system per plan,
The
the,
inlet,
all
or
the,
the outlet pipe, rather.
right,
Where's it gonna drain to?
Well, it's gonna go, we're gonna build a temporary basin, just not as big,
Oh, in the same area?
in the
Yeah.
same area,
Yeah.
yeah.
Can you show me, like, sketch?
There's a-
The pointer,
there's
just,
a pointer, orange button,
but what part is being used, so what proposed for later? What
So
part-
right in here is the inlet. Okay, can you see me?
yeah,
Okay, so we're gonna build, we'll put the inlet pipe in as well as the main
Trunk line.
36-inch trunk line right here.
mhm.
I wanna do it as small as I can, but I know it's gonna work too. So the reason I wanna build it small is because I need that area for space. So this thing's gonna be like right in the middle of, in the way really, but we gotta do what we gotta do. So I'm thinking like a 20 by 20 hole here. A temporary basin.
Would it be the same elevation as the final basin?
Yes,
Yes.
it's gonna have to be, that's
Yeah.
right,
So this will be the access
yes,
lay down area, which will be up in this area,
yep,
That's correct,
and underneath here, or some grade will be a drainage pipe that comes off the road. that-
yes,
36-inch.
All the way down the access. path
yes,
To that location.
yes.
And that's gonna be big enough to collect.
And you're also gonna have other drainage system on Boston Road with structures that will,
The existing stuff, plus this new, right?
yeah, plus we're gonna continue to put new coming up the road,
right,
So,
so.
but that will be, starting in April, that won't be over the winter.
okay, so this is really intended to receive the drainage from the lower part of where you're doing the improvements, not the entire length. In terms of starting up from the center of town, there will
Yes.
be other places where there will be drainage treatment or
Structure, yeah,
infiltration.
yes.
This is just what's.
That's
this is
correct.
That's
to
correct.
handle What's at that lower,
Yes,
the final end.
Where the most of
work
the
area.
problem is, right?
Okay,
Yes.
yeah.
any other questions? Matt?
And the reason for us switching gears is because we keep striking out, getting a laydown, yeah, we need a good sized space.
Mhm.
Is it-
And it's been a very difficult.
Jim,
We had talked about this in the lobby and then while we're waiting for the meeting to start, but just putting on a thinking cap, I was thinking of a couple of different areas. There's a Mass DOT yard where they have trucks and sand piles and stuff down off of Boston Road near Minot's Corner. I don't know if they have extra space, I don't know if they can loan you space, but that might be,
We've already been told no.
okay.
You can name them all, but
Not volunteering.
I'm not gonna bet
How
that.
about our fire station across the street from this area?
Yeah, I didn't ask them because
It's
it's,
a big area behind the building, I know
Yeah.
that's part of that for cycling the trucks through the building.
yeah,
I don't know if there's extra space or not that they can use. It's just an idea to ask.
Yeah, we'll certainly ask everybody.
Say you've got a realtor actually looking for open space, it might be
Yeah.
rentable or whatever.
yes.
All right, that's more than I thought. Good.
Yeah.
are there any comments or questions from members of the audience on this project? Do you come to it? Oh, Matt, you don't have a microphone?
Yeah, just come to kind of stand, state your name, kind of on the side, thank you.
I've been involved in 6668 Boston Road. I'm very disturbed with the town of Westford for the past 8 years. I've tried everything to do right, but every time I try to do something, the town turns around and staff me back. That's besides. But right now, my concern is, we have a 100-foot berm over there. And I'm like 20, the proposed potential pond is like about 25 feet away.
Could you hand,
Yeah.
if the orange button will, you can indicate where on the plan
There it
you're
is.
talking to?
Yeah, it's tough to see. Matt, can I use your green one? That one's so better.
Thank you.
Look at that.
Right here.
Yeah,
This is gonna be about 300 by 300 by 15 feet detention pond, right?
Yes.
And the property right over here, which is Westford Gateway right over here. And right now there's about 100 feet, maybe plus. Berm that's about probably 8 to 12 feet high. And this is gonna be all taken away from. Right, all the way from here, it's gonna be taken down, and we're gonna have a flat area right around here, so if we have. Give it say 100 year storm, this whole farm is gonna be all flooded.
So this property, the property line is indicated by the dashed with the little symbol.
Yeah.
This property line going here,
Yeah,
that's under the care and custody of the town of Westford Select Board.
right,
Your property is up here,
up here. Okay,
so
so right in here, as you have seen, I'm sure you have seen, there's like about. 8 to 12 foot berm right over here, if you take all these down. So you gotta open a can of worm. For a flood line go too far.
I'm sorry, I couldn't, I can't understand. What were you saying, sir?
okay, so,
I say if you take the berm down, there's about 8 to 12 feet berm, that's about. Right around here, right, Matt?
I don't agree.
It's right down.
So he says if you flatten that down, so
There's a
now
trail,
it's gonna
right?
discharge onto his property.
Oh, so, okay, I didn't have.
This one,
didn't have
yeah.
the issue.
Oh, right here. This is a trick right here. Right, that was, yeah.
Well, first of all,
It's on the slope, right.
Is it?
It's still higher than this.
What happened was you just injected.
can we have, there's a lot of conversations going, on. Can we have one conversation, please, so,
This is the farm, right, yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
So right in here, this is the right of way.
Yeah.
Old Boy Scout. So if you're gonna take all these down, right in here. So this is my farm right in here, so you're gonna open up a can of worm for the future, I'm not saying maybe 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Even 50 years or 100 years, you're gonna have a flood going this way.
so,
Taking all this berm down,
So the design, the approved design with this detention basin was designed by engineers and does comply with the Mass Stormwater standards which does not infiltrate, of which any runoff will not be there will be no off-site runoff. So
They have
it's,
that running.
So you're saying.
I mean, the order,
Okay.
the order issue, you know,
So the basin is designed to contain water, there will be no outflow from the sides of the basin.
Where's the wick on that? Can you tell me that?
excuse me.
Did the wick run off on the pond?
So the overflow, the proposed outlet control structure is on the south side of the pond, again, towards 70 Boston Road. The proposed 20-foot wide rip wrap spillway
Okay,
is also located on the south side and is to discharge to the wetland between the proposed detention basin and the 495 offering.
Doesn't the wetland go all the way around the back of the 66, 68?
But I imagine so, again, I'm not,
Yeah.
Okay.
you know,
According to the flags, it's not.
Yes.
well, right, I mean, but is this a separate wetland then? I don't know if these two wetlands are hydraulically connected.
okay. Jim, did you have a
I
question?
think
Just wanted to
that,
highlight the riprap spillway there that would overflow in the opposite direction in your concern. If there was ever an issue where the water got up to higher than like 250,
256.
257.5 feet.
No, this, the.
Yeah,
the-
discharges to the opposite way.
Just
to the
Right.
north.
So I'm not, and I wasn't sure what you meant, sir, when you were talking about 10 years, 20 years, 50, 100.
the stormwater I'm talking about, if, right over here,
You're talking
this is-
about a 100-year storm,
right,
okay?
which I had the same issue with the town of Groton, but I corrected it. And, right over here, this water runoff comes all the way around here. This is the wetland right over here. Are you telling me that's gonna be discharged to the wetland over here? The wetland goes all the way around
Downhill is
here.
perpendicular to the contour lines. Go in that direction.
Not
Yeah, but he
necessarily,
says it's part of the wetland, he says the wetland's gonna fill and it's gonna back over to the north side as well. And potentially impact his property.
and the bottom's like about 8 to 20 feet below the grade too.
So are you concerned
And that was,
with,
that was,
so are you concerned with this? What they're proposing to use as a laydown yard, or are you concerned with
no,
the
I'm not-
future flooding?
I'm not.
Right, I mean, so this is, so this,
been.
right, I mean, that was notified in accordance with
I
the,
was never notified.
I will.
Okay.
I'm most certain.
Yeah,
you
I
will.
mean, this, we've been here and this is done, what we're
Right, this
talking
is the-
about.
this is the final
temporary
design.
Layout,
It's-
yeah,
right.
ultimately, this is the design.
And this was reviewed and approved by the town engineer as well. So, you know, the town has had its own eyes looking at this to make sure that
I
there's.
was never given the file by the town engineer, what was gonna be behind my farm.
I don't think we give you the
I can,
plan, I think
Okay.
that you would have got his notification.
And a butter-
About notification of the public hearing.
Right. But you could ask-
If they consider them in a public.
yeah, it was everybody between 495 and, Main Street.
Yeah, it was the entire stretch of Boston Road. Okay.
But you guys tell me that there's gonna be no issues with that, and I want it in writing.
We'll get the notice of the approval plan.
No, I didn't, that was the way I.
You can ask for that.
Well, right now, EPA put a stop on this project, I'm going down that school.
No, we're not gonna need to stop.
There will be EPA is checking on, it, so.
I'm not following.
Yeah, no, you-
Okay,
not stop.
no, so actually,
You should make a request now to never got that.
that would be the thing is, yes, what would. Is if you contact the that he would have been notified? Was this just conservation or also building department?
It would have been just conservation.
Okay, so if you contact the conservation desk, they can check the file and there would be a record from the applicant for this project that signifying that you were notified and a confirmation that the notification of the public hearing was sent to you. So that's something that you can check when town hall is open to confirm when you were notified. Yeah,
And you could also request a copy of the plans.
yes.
I don't care about that, just have the EPA check and make sure.
The plans are the essence for the whole project. I would recommend you get the copy of the plans.
Oh, I will get, I don't.
Yeah.
I'll get it from Paul.
So back to what the discussion was for with,
Planning wanted to do.
the discussion.
any other?
Are there any, well, yes, are there any other comments or questions from members?
Yeah, I got a question. Why
If-
can't? oh,
Would you
yes,
come on?
State your name.
Oh, Troy Patio, I'm the farm manager at 68 Boston Road.
Yeah,
I just want to know why they can't stage the property on 68 where the most convenient spot for the whole job is.
So that's not germane to this discussion, but
Well, why-
it is inconsistent with the APR that is on that property.
What is your concern about that APR?
You'll have to talk to the town manager's office because the select board holds the APR.
Well,
The Conservation Commission does not hold the APR. The Conservation Commission's concern is the protection of the wetland resources and the buffer area within 100 feet of it. So your questions about the APR for the subject property
No.
should be directed to the town manager's office and the select board.
But you're taking a staged area now, going closer to the wetlands, more inconvenient for the construction trucks to go there. The pond has to be turned
I
back
can't tell you,
18 months. I'm just saying.
I can't, I'm, you know, I can't tell you why it specifically.
You know why, because you put an APR in November
keep saying-
24. No, well, the town put an APR restriction November 24, that there can't be no trucks or materials parked in that field. I can't find one other in the state of Massachusetts.
I will
with the restriction.
find you, the APR and talk with the town manager's office to illustrate how it's inconsistent.
But you're doing the same thing at the other side. You're doing the same thing on 70. You're going closer.
This
to the
property
wetlands
is not
with
subject to an
nice area.
agricultural preservation restriction.
But that's why I'm asking what the concern is with the restriction with no trucks in an empty field.
It-
'Cause that's the
Your
restriction,
concern about the APR isn't germane to this discussion.
'cause you can't.
It's not, we're talking about a laydown here that they wanna do. This has already been reviewed and approved.
They approached us for the laydown area, the most common spot is the field. They made them dig for 2 days, put a silt fence in, then the town manager came down and said, you can't put it there. So now they're going behind the barn, it's closer to the wetlands. And it's a worse spot, and it's more inconvenience for the whole job, because they're gonna turn the whole project, the pond back 18 months till they're done with the sidewalk. Before they could do both projects they used up.
Can only speak before what's in front of me now.
yes,
You all shake your heads like you don't know what's going on.
the
doesn't-
agricultural preservation restriction is under the jurisdiction. The agricultural preservation restriction on the 66 and 68 Boston Road parcels are held by the select board. It is any discussion of those, any discussion of activity in relation to the APR should be with the select board because they are the body that has jurisdiction over the APR on that property. That is outside our jurisdiction. We have no role with the APR. We are basically sticking to the items over which we have say.
But to make the job easier, it would be a better spot for the whole.
That-
For the town.
Is,
That's
that's not correct. That would be
That's the
outside,
most convenient spot. for the
that
whole
is
job.
outside our ability to say. So
Okay.
are there any other members of the audience who would like to make?
Yes, why did select board, some of the select board and the town manager, 8 years ago, invite me to come and build a restaurant at 66?
All right, this is not.
Well, yeah, and you're going way above and beyond where we're supposed to be. And again, people have to, if people are gonna speak, they have to let us know who they are.
Right,
So, I mean, they're
I've
not
already told you
introducing
why.
themselves and we're
yes,
just
but
having discussion.
because, yes, but you remember, we need to know who's speaking when comments are made because of the recording, so that people viewing this
Everyone
later on.
Sullivan, 6668
Okay.
Boston Road.
And please keep your comments directed towards the discussion
I was
of
doing that,
having.
but all of a sudden things change. And I had to make a comment about the select board that invited me to come to town and do something, and all turned their backs on. me.
Okay. If you'd like to ask a question, make a comment, if you come to the front and let us know who you are, so.
Diane Hendricks, 11 Crown Road. We have had incredible runoff problems, like I have an easement that goes behind my property off of Boston Road, and when we've had torrential downpours, it's like a river. Fortunately, it doesn't happen that often. So in listening to these gentlemen speak, everybody was saying how everything was gonna stay the same until it's all remedied. And I just want to make sure that I understand that correctly. The drainage is gonna be as it is now until the project is complete.
So. And if I understand what you were saying, is as you start to do the improvements on Boston Road at several points at several places, the length of that road, you're putting in new drainage to handle the runoff coming off the road? Is that correct?
So we're putting the inlet pipe in with the main trunk line, okay? So then we're gonna start the road, all the drainage in the road's getting replaced.
Yeah.
On Boston Road.
Everywhere. So as we're building the new stuff, the old stuff's gonna get ripped out and replaced.
So the easement that goes behind my house, like, like you've got Crown Road off of Boston Road, and then there's an easement that goes down. I don't even know where it terminates. That's all gonna get replaced or done?
I'm not sure where.
No, so and I don't have this plan, because again, it wasn't, they are proposing to install a sediment forebay right off of Boston Road, between one Crown Road and the Boston Road property, the number escapes me. That sediment forebay will be used to attenuate, to attenuate a portion of runoff in lesser storms. It still is designed to overtop, and there will still be, the stream behind the odd number Crown Road houses isn't change, ultimately, under severe storm situations, it won't be changed. But under smaller storms, there will be the sediment forebay will offer a chance to kind of settle some of the runoff before, it ultimately will overtop and continue down through that stream. So
So if there's a massive storm like the few that we had last spring, it's gonna be the same problem.
yes, I don't think it's changing.
That's bad. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so, back to the lay down yard discussion. Okay.
Can I say one more thing? Can we get a restriction to use the field to make it easier for the job?
You would have to talk to the board of select.
Well, before you give them permission, because they
The
could do
select-
both jobs at the same time and give them use
That-
the field.
That is outside our jurisdiction to discuss.
Okay.
Okay, it's not something that's in our purview to control. We can't say yes, we can't say no to what you're.
But it just makes the
mentioning.
whole project a lot easier for the town and everybody, construction crew.
You keep on saying the same thing, and we keep on saying the same thing. We hear what you say. We can only do what we can do.
Yes, and
voted them. See if it's.
So the select board might allow them to use the field to make both the.
select-
I can't even say that.
the select board is the board that should be discussed with because they hold the APR. And there is no point in discussing that any further because that's not something that we can say yes or no to here. So what we're talking about now is a proposal for the laydown yard. So.
Other questions from the audience?
Are there any other questions from the audience? So with what's proposed for the laydown yard. From a procedure perspective, what are the next steps in terms of
We should declare a minor modification.
what? have we, so a lot of this has been verbal. Do we have anything in writing that describes what specifically is being requested to have that included as part of the project file?
Yes, I sent an email.
Okay,
Is it this? I don't know if I was copied, this was the. To use the proposed detention as the.
Yes, and then the sheets were,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you colored it.
okay,
Yep. Right,
okay.
yep,
So they
Um,
talk about building a smaller detention pond
Yeah,
here, and then using the rest as layout. I heard, what, 20 by 20?
Yes.
yes,
You know, we probably should have some markup of the plan that shows us something. This isn't showing me as detention basin, is it?
yes,
This 20 by 20,
does it
it's
show
that
the
small right there.
exactly.
So that's just gonna be it.
Mhm.
And then everything else is gonna be laid down up to what point?
Inside that, the
Inside
lower
the-
green sedimentation barrier, basically.
the erosion control?
Yes,
Yes,
Okay,
which is the next step.
I wasn't gonna ask. You were on top.
And he's in- and-
Yeah.
Indicated what the materials can and can't be, are we done that?
so the request includes the types of materials that will be,
I mean, we have not received, again, it's just.
it was not,
okay,
This
definitive, but it's excavated materials, it's crushed stone, it's gravel borrows,
We should have that.
precast. I mean, I can follow up with an email.
yeah. Yeah, and if it's gonna be things like the structure you had mentioned, the precast
Mhm.
concrete.
Yep.
Conduits, whatever, yeah, is knowing specifically what that laydown yard would be used
Sure.
for.
Basically, any and all construction related materials.
Should put that.
But not
Yes.
like a container that's gonna hold materials that we wouldn't want.
No,
Yes.
no liquid has.
Yeah, I know, I'm just.
So no refueling, no
No.
oils. for
All the
that?
refueling would be done closer to Boston Road.
Okay,
So machines might be there.
yeah,
Well, you know, heavy equipment's gonna be parked there, but
park there overnight or.
yeah, cause that's
Okay.
what we
We have to.
parking on Boston Road,
Yeah,
that's gonna be hard.
So between the access road and also inside there.
You know, typically, we don't like to have machines and stuff like that in an area.
well, we don't like to have them within 100 feet,
Right, so
so is that because, is this the case where?
Can you find a spot outside where we can tie them to those machines?
Oh, okay,
and so this is the 100-foot buffer here,
okay,
as shown by my cursor in.
yeah,
And so,
So if there's a spot they can put their machines outside, the buffer, that'd be great.
But then you got the,
Materials inside of the hundred
Yeah.
foot and then everything that is.
And then the other stuff on the
Yeah.
inside of the 100.
I mean, if,
I mean, it looks great, but I mean, that once I put that
That
out
20
inlet
foot.
pipe in, like,
Right.
then I have no space, so. That's
I mean,
a
if the
problem.
commission,
I mean, machines are gonna be in there digging. We're not gonna do it by hand, you know?
yeah,
Machines are gonna be in there.
no, well,
We can, we can, you know. Handle some things like refueling, we won't bring fuel in there, we'll refuel machines out on the road and.
yeah, and which is where my mind was going
Right.
was, you know, if you've got vehicles parked overnight, over the weekend or
Mhm.
whatever.
Right.
Is in terms of, if they're stationary parked. Having them be stationary parked outside the 100 foot, if it, you know, if it's something overnight over weekend, it just, that's where our minds are going.
Mhm.
Like they're using the laydown for like 18 months or, you know, and there's machinery parked out there for the road work and everything else. You know, we want to make sure it's outside the 100.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if we need to somehow then show us the laydown so they can show us that those machines are gonna be outside the 100. I mean, do we want that level or are we just gonna take their word that they're gonna do it?
Matt, what's the distance from the 100 to the?
is saying from here,
From there to the other way? The flag is that the.
this is 100 feet, so this is the 100-foot buffer.
So he's got a buffer there. So there is some room, but it just,
It's minimal.
I'm not saying it's not, but we're, you know, trying to accommodate you and,
It's a big job with lots of materials and lots of equipment. And
Yeah, concerns typically leaks or something.
Mhm.
you know,
Yep.
Gas and petrol. oil.
Diesel,
Yeah, and we have our spill kits on site, I mean. And we can park some on the access road if we had to, but again, that's all minimal area.
yeah, I mean. Yeah, because you need to turn, it drives and you gotta be able to turn around and
Mhm.
drive it out.
Right.
Okay, in terms of. This as a minor modification request. Some of this has been discussion, some of this has been in writing. A lot of times when we do a minor modification request, we're looking for something that very clearly lays out all the details of the modification so that, you know, we're both sure that we're on the same page.
And you don't have that.
Would the commission be amenable to approving it subject to the chair's review?
Oh, that's good.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
As long as it includes all the things that we were.
Okay, so, okay, so we are,
In terms of exactly where the laydown area would be,
so
where the,
So location of the laydown, so with laydown, when it seems like large precast concrete or it's piles of excavated material or it's piles of material that you've brought in
Mhm.
to use in the project.
Yep.
That stuff inside, or can that stuff be in the 100-foot buffer
Yeah.
within
It's
the erosion
mostly
control?
the equipment
Okay, so,
that I'm concerned with, not the material. I mean,
so,
material, even if it's sand or, you know, whatever, you know, he's got erosion controls
Material.
around it, so we're fine there.
material like
You park your equipment down
Dirt.
the bottom.
sand, etc. Can be in the buffer. The precast can be in the buffer. It's just basically
Machinery.
machinery
So-
parked overnight.
Right, so
yeah, down here,
that's,
Okay.
this is where we'll have to park equipment.
we'll park the equipment down the bottom.
Yeah, over here, we gotta stay away from this whole area.
Yeah,
And then the access road, oops, sorry about that. We can park some here.
Yeah.
And then everything else we'll use for materials.
because what we're concerned about is not is parking overnight, parking over the
Sure.
weekend, where the vehicles are sitting,
Right.
you know,
And that's what we'll do.
10, 12 hours a
That's,
day.
that's what we'll do. We'll isolate it down at the bottom.
I totally get it, but it's just like everywhere I go, it's been a striking out, so we just wanna work, really,
Okay,
that's all.
So
I know what I've been tasked to check
we
for.
want to know where the detention area exactly will be. We want to know where the storage area will be for machinery. And where the area will be for rocks, gravel, sand,
Precast pipe. And
concrete
Yeah.
structures. things
Yeah.
I'll take that plan. I'll put a couple
Mark it up.
squares here, you know, identify it and I'll send it over to you guys by the end of the week.
The proposed sediment forebay paving?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay,
I think it-
so that's where your temporary,
detention basin.
detention base, okay.
Yes.
So we've already got that clearly delineated
Yeah,
here.
you're right.
It's got to be labeled what it's gonna be.
Okay,
Because it doesn't say that's the.
okay, so,
temporary
and yeah,
Yeah.
just label that
Yeah.
that's temporary
Yep.
sedimentation.
The expected duration of this usage is 18 months.
Yep.
Approximately,
Mhm.
and that would be included in the description.
Okay,
I'll mark that plan up and I'll get it back to you guys by the end of the week.
okay. So. Can I have a motion to approve the,
The minor mod as discussed.
yes,
Subject to the chair's review.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
The second part of the agenda, or the item was the request to work between December 1st or continue working.
Yes,
Okay, in terms of the work that you want to continue doing, it's the same work as was approved from December 1st to February 15th?
yes, continuation of that and then it would
And
be
then
following,
Create,
right,
basically developing the laydown area.
exactly.
Can I have a motion? Yeah, I can.
I have that subject to the chairs.
Yeah, okay, so,
Good question.
no,
So you're talking about 18 months, so you need this next winter as well, right?
Yes,
But he's only asking.
As for now.
For now.
right.
yeah, now you're asking to work to construct the laydown area.
That's right. Exactly.
Okay. And
So you want to be able to do it all the way from now till April 1st?
Yes,
thank you. So can I have a motion to approve the request to continue the working that they have been doing and subject to a written request do the construction of the laydown yard between February 15th and April 1st.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
So moving on to our 7:20 PM agenda item, it's a request to construct a barn in land subject to agricultural preservation restriction, Fruit Farm, 35 Padma Road.
Only one rolling chair?
It's in the hallway, sorry.
So I think this is gonna be pretty quick, just because I, what?
Say who you are.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Lauren Hill.
Oh, where you live?
And I live in Groton. But I am working with my father, to, run Drew Farm on, Tadmore Road in Westford. So. Giving information.
I didn't speak yet. Yeah.
Sorry. Clearly, I'm good at this. So I had an email exchange with Matt today, about the building that we would like to put on Tadmuck Road. And so it sounds like we need to do a little bit more work about the positioning of the building. So I guess this is an opening, this is what we'd like to do conversation. Is that?
Yes.
Yeah, so I talked briefly with Eric, but he didn't have time to deal with the whole thing, so I'll probably end up talking to him tomorrow. So what we are proposing doing is putting up a building, basically on the. When was it 1984, the building got taken down?
Yes.
So there was a very large, if you look on the map there, that rectangle where the hand thing is, used to be a large structure that got taken down in 1984. And now, as far as the orchard goes, there's a temporary greenhouse there, which is under the gray. And then we have a tent that's up for September, October, when we do business at the farm. So the proposal is to put up a 40 by 60 barn, and we'd like it to look like like a New England barn. We're thinking it's gonna be red, not brown, but it's okay. For retail in the first 20 feet, and then storage of equipment in the rest of it, because right now our equipment is either in a temporary greenhouse or outside. So that is what we are hoping to do.
So when you say equipment, are you talking,
Tractors, sprayers.
okay, so things that might contain petroleum products?
But plus, where's the,
There's no weapons, again, this is totally
No, this
just,
is about the APR.
yeah, the commission
This is
has,
because,
yeah,
the state, when I talked to the state about our APR, their legal counsel said that we needed to get approval from both the Conservation Commission and the Select Board.
Yeah,
From reading the APR, it does look like there is an exception for buildings to be constructed on the property. If they're used for the agricultural purposes, and from what you described, the storage of the equipment. As well as some retail space for the agriculture grown on the property.
Yeah,
my only concern was to making sure that whatever that foundation is contained so that if there did happen to be a spill, it wouldn't get out into the ground.
yeah, it's gonna have a concrete.
Okay.
Because they have tractors anyway.
Wait, sorry.
Yeah.
My name's Keith Bowman.
Yeah.
The foundation is going to be a poured foundation below the 4-foot frost level. And then there'll be a material level that area, and on top of that, there'll be a 6-inch concrete pad.
Okay, Yeah, it just, I don't like to think about it getting into the ground.
Yeah,
So-
no,
But this seems perfectly consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
So,
you know,
it
as.
looks like we need to work on where exactly we're siting the building. It'll be roughly where it is, but set back further.
Yeah, my thought as I saw the plan and received it today was, it's shown 27 feet off of the Tamac Road right away. And the zoning note says, front yard setback of 50 feet, so just to make sure that, you know, one of the conditions of the APR, for any approval is, you know, obtain all obtainable permits in advance. So, again, I kind of wanted this to be an opening, get, you know, if there were questions, you know, things that needed to be clarified from the commission. And then, you know, kind of figure things out with the building commissioner and zoning. In the meantime, I can also draft a certificate of approval, which would be kind of state the facts of kind of the request and include the commission's findings, you know, much to Jim's point that, you know, the proposed use certainly seems consistent with the with its agricultural activities on the site.
What's the timing like for this construction?
Yeah, it's a pretty quick timeline, partially because a chunk of it's being paid for through a grant from Mass Department of Agriculture, and they require something that looks like a barn by June 30th. We're working with Circle B Barns in Lancaster, and they're pretty confident that they
It's a pretty
can.
fat farm.
No. It's it's gonna have scissor trusses, so the trusses are gonna come in built, but then they do the. Yeah, Circle B has done a lot of, I don't know if you've seen the building at Dell Orchard, Circle B did that building. They've done quite a few barns around.
So we've had our questions answered in terms of approval under the APR. You're gonna work with, planning and zoning, or building and zoning about setback. Are there any comments or questions on this proposal from members of the audience? Okay, so hopefully you'll be back in 2 weeks and we'll be able to close this out.
That would be great.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much.
Moving on to our 7:25 PM agenda item, we have a public hearing, Melba, 2056 Lakeshore Drive South.
Under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, the Westford non-zoning wetlands bylaw, Chapter 171, the Westford Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, February 12th, 2025, at 7:25 PM in meeting room 201 at Town Hall, 55 Main Street, to consider the request for determination of applicability application of Ralph Malbuth for the removal of 3 pine trees, 1 hemlock, and 1 hemlock cluster within 100 feet of that Napa withering land subject to flooding at 56 Lakeshore Drive South.
Good evening.
Great, good evening. Ralph and Diane Melba, as you heard, 56 Lakeshore Drive South here in Westford. We have been residents here in town since the mid-90s and raised our family, including 3 daughters here. We decided to sell and build our retirement home on Lake Nab moving in mid-2017. This lake home, just as we had hoped, is now a family destination spot for our kids, their spouses, and our 5 grandchildren across all 4 seasons of the year. I'm here tonight to respectfully ask for the board's approval to remove 5 unstable trees posing significant risk of damage to property and potential personal injury. All trees are located on the steep hillside on the south side of the lake. We suffered through one natural disaster in May 2020 with a large pine coming down into our house, while averting another large pine came crashing down on the hill, luckily missing mine and my neighbor's house last winter. The trees differ in stability issues. 1 dead hemlock is insect infested and brittle. 2 of the large pines in the bifurcated hemlock have significant root system damage due to severe erosion issues at their bases, while 1 large pine is showing significant structural issues with rot at its base. Due to the overall tree height coupled with their overall canopy size and compromised root structures, wind shear poses significant risk. All the trees were inspected by Tim Donahue, certified arborist with Iron Tree Service, who concluded all trees are dangerous and require removal. His assessment is included in the information provided.
Comments or questions?
Matt.
Yeah,
The trees closest to the lake, are those leading towards the houses or towards the lake? Usually they go for the brightest sun.
So, I mean, I think they're, as you can see in some of the photos, they're pretty vertical. So, you know, as to, you know, speaking to.
So it's all, I mean, I'm looking at.
So it's,
all of
so
that
this is,
being
this,
removed?
this is the same pine tree, this is the,
That's one tree, that's,
yeah, so.
that's
this is-
actually one of the pines.
So this is.
It's the one with the
the
with the
terrace.
eroded, the base erosion is right underneath that snippet, oh, right there.
So looking at that second picture, you know, there's the first one on the left, then there's the one
Yeah.
on the right.
Yeah.
What is coming down and what is staying in that picture?
Oh, it's just the one single big
No,
pine,
not that one, the next, when I look at that.
Just
next
this
picture,
one.
just that,
Just
one. It's
that.
the same, yeah,
The other trees there are staying?
yes,
Okay.
There's the root.
so this is the base of that same.
yes, that's the base of that super pine.
This is another, one of the bifurcated pines that was mentioned.
Mhm.
You guys can see the activity at the base.
So if they cut it, they're gonna just leave the stump, are they grinding the stump?
No,
No, not grinding.
Are we replanting?
Yes, we'll replant.
it's been discussed, the final species haven't been decided.
Okay.
And you can plant shorter trees.
I mentioned the, Eversource Energies 30
30 under 30.
30 as a good resource.
Yeah.
Does it make sense to leave bungalows there?
I mean, I think there could be a couple, that be left, you know, kind of standing stumps, you know, just 10 feet tall, so we're no longer, you know, the.
I mean, for something like, 5 or 6 feet, but, yeah.
It can, yeah. The commission's consideration.
Yeah.
So that's the dead hemlock again. That-
Yeah, that's kind of tough to see that. You can see that dead tree standing right in the middle. It's very close, the deck's on the left. And really with the winds coming in there, that thing could snap and fly. That's basically. The tree that came down in the middle of the house actually came from over there. It was a super pine. And it kind of got split in half and got picked up and got thrown up in the air about, 50, 60 feet and dropped into the middle of the house.
Have you been to the site?
Yes, and certainly, as you can see from some of the, photos, there is, the ability to replant, some lower growing tree species, and did observe, the multi-stem, bifurcated, nature of most of them, and, certainly, agree with the arborist's assessment.
So putting those trees down, the root system will still be there, right, to hold?
Yes.
Yeah, and besides, just to mention, if you see that the stairs going down, we put 33 techno posts, 10 to 15 feet into the side of the hill as well. So those steel posts are in there as well.
Okay.
And we built.
I'd like to see some buck ponds out there, like 10-foot, have some habitat out there. Where it makes sense.
These some of 5.
Maybe, maybe some of the ones, not the ones close to the house, but the ones,
Further down.
the one.
There's two down there and then there's the cluster, so maybe the other ones down there.
To be habitat.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because that way it's not the ones close to the
Is
house.
that negotiable?
Yeah, what's the height?
6 or 5, 10 seems still high.
I mean, they do seem, they are close to the stairs. I mean,
Yeah, they are very close to the stairs.
Do we have pictures that show those trees?
Yes, here's the
Okay.
hemlock cluster.
You see that, yeah, that's what,
Right, yeah.
it kind of runs right up against the,
Yeah.
Okay.
See where you, oh, that's the other dead hemlock. This is like a pine tree. Again, right at the stairs.
If they were butt logs, given the slopes, if the soils were wet, would there still be potentially a stability issue?
I don't know,
Can you explain what that is with the bubble?
it's a standing stump.
That it decays over time, gives woodpeckers a place to go after insects and stuff like that. It just provides,
Inside your house.
it just, you do it in different places because it allows the trees to provide habitat, after they die.
Could we compromise like 6 foot 6 feet? Be enough? To leave for us extended stump as Matt and I kind of chatted, we were looking at.
Where it's, I suppose, because the trees that we're talking about are near your stairs,
Yes.
where people's thoughts.
What's the difference between 6 and 10?
I mean,
I'm okay with taking the stump, taking it down to the stump and having it decently planted.
We're all,
maybe,
we're all fine.
no,
Is it that?
Yeah, I mean, the slope
Yes.
is, I mean, it's vegetated, but it seems vegetated with more low growing,
Okay,
kind of
that's fine too.
things.
okay. Are there any comments or questions from members of the audience? No, okay. So,
No less than 6 feet.
how many? So what, the three,
You're down closest to the.
okay, so the three near the stairs as opposed to the ones near the house?
Yes, yeah. One near the house can go down. They can use it to cut.
Okay,
And then start replacements of some kind of, something from the.
so they'll provide a planting plan to Matt for review.
Okay, great, sounds good.
Okay,
Excellent.
Matt, can I have a, so it's not the conditional later,
Yes.
which is a good thing. Can I have a motion to issue a conditional negative determination of applicability?
So we're gonna follow what Jim just said, okay?
Outline, yes. So I have a motion, I have a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
And the motion to close the public hearing,
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
What about the petition?
Oh, yeah.
Why don't you-
Go ahead.
you get-
I mean, I'm gonna be speaking more to this, it's more,
Okay.
something I found.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, something I found kind of during, the lead up or upon receipt of the RDA. An order of conditions was issued for the construction of a dwelling on this lot in 1990. While the current structure, was being constructed in 16, 17, 18 timeframe, the project engineer requested a certificate of compliance. My predecessor, noted that the septic system was installed for the original, house construction.
1990.
Yeah, in the 1990s. Included in the packet was the as-built site plan of the current house, which shows the current septic system. Just as a means to close out an invalid order, with, now that we have the receipt of an as-built site plan, that is the actual, as opposed to trying to prepare it's like a plan from something that, was done historically. I would recommend, the certificate of compliance for this, order of conditions as it is no longer active. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to.
Any questions? Can I have a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for DEP file number 334-0447? Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Now we're all set.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to our 7:30 PM agenda item. It's a request for certificate of compliance for 124 MSW LLC, 124 and 128 Main Street.
Good evening, board members. Bill Patel, we did have a site visit with Matt and Matt Waterman, who walked the site last week. I'm not gonna speak for Matt, but I think everyone agreed that we're all stabilized and in good shape there. We do have a railroad controls to take out in the springtime, but everything is stabilized and has been growing well.
And that you're in concurrence?
Yes, and per the engineer's letter, the proposed community garden areas were not installed, but there is an ongoing condition that in the event the property or the unit owners would like to install a community garden, there's a path forward without having to refile with the commission.
Is that a tree in the community garden?
Yes,
Okay,
I would describe it as the Charlie Brownest, the most Charlie Brownest of Charlie Brown trees, of all the ones that were planted. That one seems to, I don't know, something happened to that one, Joe, but.
I think that tree might have been an existing tree, I think, Matt, because there were some maples that Bob Hicks had planted in that area, and I think Matt picked those up as those trees, I believe.
okay,
But
so that's not something that was newly planted,
Not to my knowledge,
okay.
but, it was about 20 degrees with a good wind chill when we were out there, but we weren't really
Yeah,
paying much attention to the quality of the trees.
But the conservation posts have been installed. Additionally, they did install some. Go back up to this. They have installed some kind of wildlife habitat posts. Actually, this photo, the lower photo does show both the conservation post at the edge of the 100-foot buffer, and then also a post describing the meadow wildlife habitat area. So just, I think, does explain kind of to the future unit owners and property managers, kind of what's going on in what areas.
And I have a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for DEP file number 334-1782.
Before we do that, there's one conservation post that's not in line to the 100-foot line. On the plan again. Over here, what's that?
Yeah, so this this was the wildlife habitat. This is kind of the meadow. Yeah, so this is the meadow habitat,
Oh, okay.
kind of post, same with.
Not a boundary, so it just because it shows an area.
Yeah, and that was the
It's an
previous map.
educational post,
Okay, fine.
okay. So can I have a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for DEP file number 334-1782?
So, second.
All those in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you.
On another note, Matt, could you go back to those pictures? I just wanted to report, and you granted me permission to take down the barn on the adjacent lot 5, which we did do. And if you, Matt, it's that picture right there. If you notice at the very top, you can see that area there that you see the hay mat. That's the area where the barn was, and we were able to fit it in between cold weather events and snow events, and we did get that demolished. We've loamed and seeded it with wetlands upland seed, and it's been blanketed, so it should be in great shape for the spring. Just a report in. Thank you all. Have a good night.
Two. Okay, moving on to our 7:35 PM agenda item. It's a request to work between December 1st and April 1st for Kilpatrick at 5 Drawbridge Road.
good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Bob, and this is Carol,
I-
5 Drawbridge Road.
Okay,
They reached out, they're looking to start, this was a project back before the commission last winter. Construction of an addition to an existing house constructed prior to the Wetlands Protection Act. And bylaw, they've faced, but have you been in contact with the foundation excavator, do they have a timeline?
Yeah, they're waiting for us to.
Okay. Erosion controls have been installed. I inspected them today. They have a layer of snow on them, so they were installed prior to the last, snowstorm and certainly, appear sufficient for, the work provided. Again, they're.
So they want to dig a full foundation, frost wall?
I forget what, if it was full foundation.
It was all approved.
Yeah, I just don't remember. I just don't.
It is a full foundation, and then I think we misunderstood because I spoke with Henry Fontaine, and he said, just call me like right when you're ready to start. So I think I misunderstood when all that happened, and then we've been delayed so many times, and I was telling Matt, like in the fall, like when the builders were available. My daughter has ongoing health issues. It was just one thing after another. So now that everybody is lined up, we thought that we could start.
How close are we to the wetlands with this?
The extent, the structure itself is outside the setback. The commission's no build setback, so I think it's greater than 55.
Okay.
Was this one where there was potential, because it was going to, was this the one that? There was a question whether it was gonna be a frost wall or a full foundation, and the question became dewatering. That if they needed to
And
dewater.
that was on the plan in the event, I mean, but also now, it may be an advantageous time to excavate because things may be frozen.
Oh, so it'll be frozen.
It may be frozen and, you know.
No dewatering involved.
Right.
Okay.
And so, if, there are any other questions from the commission?
And you received their written request?
Yes, did I receive, I think it was.
Did you send them an email?
I sent you an email
We
with
did
all the,
email. Yeah, we did email.
all
back
the
and forth.
myriad of
Yeah,
special conditions.
and I
So that's
responded.
there for us to go on?
I think so.
Okay.
And so we can certainly, would recommend, approving the request to proceed
Okay, so, and this would be,
for 6 weeks, for between now and
And April
April 1st, at
Okay.
which point.
can I have a motion to approve the request for work at 5 Drawbridge Road between now and April 1st? Sure. All those in favor?
Aye.
So,
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Matt.
Thank you, Matt. Nice to meet you.
Bye.
Okay, moving on to our 7:40 PM agenda item, it's a request to work between December 1st and April 1st for Rom Realty Investments, 7 Craig Circle.
The septic system installer included a letter. But I don't see anybody here representing them. We can certainly table this to the commission's next meeting if, they're.
Yeah, I'd like to have somebody present if they're gonna make the request.
I could certainly follow up and, let them know.
Okay, yeah, because, you know, in thinking about it and looking at the site plan, or looking at the site, one of the 2 questions I had was, first of all, have the erosion controls been installed and inspected?
They've not been installed as of this afternoon.
Okay, so we wouldn't issue it,
Yeah, and.
we
and
wouldn't
those
say,
things
give a
were-
go ahead for the work anyway. And also, given the steepness of the slopes, I don't know which way they'd come around.
I think access is this way.
Okay,
Over the water line by the well, because this is
Too steep.
too steep.
steep transverse, yeah.
But also, given the steepness, if they're opening the ground, would we want any kind of additional erosion control? For example, extend a little bit farther.
Exactly, my wife extended farther.
Yeah, further on, certainly something to consider.
Okay.
Again, I guess I already mentioned to, again, the septic installer, further. They have a perspective and they, like I said, they want to move it by the end of March. And again, it's just been, this is the extent of what's been received.
Okay,
From the installer themselves, so I will follow up with them and say that.
Yeah, we need a little more.
They should attend and, be prepared to discuss, whether additional erosion controls would need to be installed or, any other.
well, And when we have a request to work between December first and April first, are we basically looking for that request from the applicant property owner or a subcontractor?
I would hit the, I think,
Just in terms of if something went wrong, who would we go after?
Right,
Who would
and
we
you
go
guys-
back to?
We never go after the people doing the work.
well, I mean, so in terms of. You know, much to the point with the previous, you know, I've sent emails to the property owner. Detailing the general conditions and special conditions of which are, you know, need to be complied with. Irrespective of, you know, them starting, you know, if they wanted to start work last September, these, and I have not heard any, there are still outstanding. So, right, so I mean, again, even if the commission, you know. Did approve work through April first, or prior to April first, all the other general and special conditions, I would still want to, that be done.
Subscribe to that unless they would be written, and number two, they also have to give it to you in writing.
Well.
Well, no, well, yeah, but it's not quite as simple as they're asking. Go ahead, Jim.
Maybe the homeowners are a little bit confused about what has to go on. I think it might be a good idea to give them a call. And just tell them, well, the kind of things we need to have done in order to get approved and work during the.
Yeah, because we don't wanna get into. The contractor asked to be able to do the work and the homeowner, you know, the property owner wasn't on board. We don't wanna get in the.
Yeah, I always think of it as the owner who makes,
Right.
Yeah, who basically comes
they're the
in.
applicant.
It's being done with their knowledge.
They're the ones that pay, they're the ones doing the work.
Yeah.
Whether they hire someone else to help them with it, that's up to them, but I think if we're expecting them to pass that along to the subcontractor, we could tell them. So, you know, all these notices you get from Matt, share them with your contractor.
Okay. Okay, so our next 7:40 PM agenda item is a minor modification request for Thompson at 18 Dana Drive.
As per the request from the contractor, after discussions with the building commissioner, they have to install a fence around the the pool area. They provided a plan to that effect with 4-foot self-latching gates and encompasses area currently that is currently.
Any questions? Can I have a motion to approve the minor modification request for 18 Dana Drive? Second, all in favor? Aye. Moving on to our next 7:40 PM agenda item, it's a request to approve and accept conservation commission, the conservation restriction on parcel B of the Diane Lane subdivision.
Included in the commission's meeting packet was my memo to the select board for their consideration last night. Again, just kind of reordering of having the select board the night before the conservation commission. But it'd just be most efficient to have it go forward then before the commission. They voted to accept the conservation restriction on the subject parcel. Again, this has been reviewed, or was initially reviewed by town council. I think the commission additionally reviewed it prior to being submitted to the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs Division of Conservation Services. And after their review and a couple back and forths between the applicant's attorney, it is ready for local signature. That version of the conservation restriction was included in the commission's meeting packet. I'll be happy to answer any questions. It is this parcel kind of to the rear. There's wetlands, there's trail connectivity. Or a public trail kind of looping around the subdivision, looping around the houses at the end of the cul-de-sac. And I think there's some biomap habitat, which is one of those conservation values in the conservation restriction.
Very markings for trails.
Yes, so the trail's been marked,
Kind of a place where.
the trail,
neighbors decided to just cut all the stuff in the yard gets bigger.
the trail's been blazed. Additionally, the
Property
Hey,
boundary.
yeah, the property boundaries have been marked with little plastic markers.
So, can I have a motion to approve and accept the conservation restriction parcel? Conservation restriction of parcel B of Diane Land subdivision. All those in favor? Aye. Okay,
There are 3 pages to sign, please sign all 3. Who made the motion second again? Okay, thank you.
yes,
The
have a-
continued public hearing for 88 Tadmuck Road, Mass DP file number 324-1865. This was continued from its initial opening back in November, maybe. And as they're still in the process of complying with the enforcement order, thought it most prudent to continue till the commission's meeting on April 23rd, 2025.
Any explanation or any reason why they want to extend
So this was kind of my prompting, and it was because that is the last date, the April 23rd would be the last date for the commission to review the replanting plan that would be required. So I didn't want to, I didn't want to pursue this, changing the driveway area, a portion of which is within a 100-foot wetland buffer, where pine trees were removed and kind of limit the replanting to other areas. So, wanted to get the enforcement order complied or
get that
start.
get that restoration plan mapped out and figured out before we start entertaining more changes to the site. So can I have a motion to continue the public hearing for 88 Tadmuck Road to April 23rd, 2025? Second. All those in favor? Aye. Okay,
Next is an item I added to the agenda. Today, we have received, the district technical assistance for the open space and recreation plan by the, regional, by NIMCOG. And in order to execute the contract with the select board, we need to have, funding secured, and I ran a report, and the total amount that the town needs to contribute is $15,000. And in looking at a couple of the commission's accounts, that I potentially could be used subject to confirmation from the town accountant. One has over $170,000, the other has over $260,000. And so I wanted to see if the commission would be able to fund the full amount, subject to also, I still plan to go to the Recreation Commission and seeing, and the Recreation Department and see what funding they may be able to contribute, but I also know with them being an enterprise fund, their budgets are certainly much tighter. What the funds they raise certainly get turned into the programs that they put on, so.
so they don't have something comparable to our reserve receipts.
No, again, these
So where's the
reserve
backup?
receipts are, Wetlands Protection Act, notice of intent filing fees. The other one, I'm not 100% sure, the higher amount, I'm not 100% sure what it's for or how we got it, but it's significantly quite large, and yeah, approximately 7% of that account. So
Where's this money actually going to? Who's doing the,
So it goes to the NIMCOG, so the Northern Middlesex Council of Government.
isn't that made up of representatives from all different towns?
No, so they have actual staff who will be the ones leading the update to the open space and recreation.
Did they write the original one?
No, we did.
Yeah. So these people don't know anything about.
I mean, they have they have what has previously, they also just recently finished up Chelmsford. So they're familiar with the work, this,
So it's like we're hiring a consultant to help us with the process.
yes. And we're getting $60,000 worth of work for $15,000.
That's the.
Having been the chair of the subcommittee to update the open space and recreation plan in 2005, I would be so happy to have somebody basically coordinating and driving it. It was a very long slog. And it's an important plan to have in place, from a state perspective, so I
Branches of the.
Both the park and the PARC and LAN land, so park and land grants. They're both funding, eligible. Also, I think the community one stop, the state kind of consolidated some of their
Did
grant.
we not get one of those grants when we applied recently?
The land use staff goes to a lot of, they put in a lot of community one stop grants. There was a land grant. I know the commission put in for a land grant
Yeah.
to offset a portion of the Timberlake property.
Bridge.
oh, you
And
mean the O'Brien?
Yeah. that was the visual.
no, that was, we got that, but having an updated open space and rec plan is,
Wasn't that?
So you're looking for a motion, I'll make the motion that we expend the 15,000 from the reserve receipts to update the open space.
Or up to
and rec plan.
15,000, so there's room for
Yeah,
rec.
To have, NIMCOG update the open space and recreation plan.
Yes, okay. So I have a motion, I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
the last is, the at 120 Main Street, Mass DB file number 334-1802. The builder on the property, is seeking occupancy, for the structure, for the house. There are a couple outstanding items, including, loam and seeding, disturbed areas. In a, installation of conservation posts and also the certificate. Having an engineer prepare the as-built plan and certificate of compliance request. Special condition 47 of the order allowed for, bonding of any items not, finished by the time or when they were seeking occupancy. It's approximately $10,000 for the combination of those three items. Again, this would it doesn't absolve them from doing it, it just kind of moves the process, it
allows them to get in place first without having to have these items, finished.
and, considering there's somewhere between 6 to 8 inches of snow outside, I don't anticipate anything that would be put down germinating. So, and would request
So they're
this.
saying, they said that there's $10,000 worth of work left.
Yes.
Alright, so what are we putting into this fund, 20-30,000?
They provided a breakdown of the cost. So, in the event that, they don't, loam and seed or. Put in
Then we have
the
funds to finish the work for.
Right,
Which we should make sure is more than adequate.
I mean, I think 10,000 is, for this work, I think it is.
I would move $20,000 escrow account.
Well, so this is to establish an escrow account. With our vote here, are we having any say over how much goes in it?
I would say, so the language of the special condition includes. Satisfactory to planning and conservation staff, one of the means they can. again, I mean, I think he's providing. He's intending to provide a check, he's not bonding it, he's not, he's outright.
Yeah, good.
And so I'm comfortable with the amount, again, I think the engineering department, has reviewed. Kind of both the planning department, the planning boards. Outstanding items and the conservation commissions, and they didn't have any concerns about the.
So were you, so town's knowledge and expertise is validating the amount that they're proposing to put in. So can I have a request to establish an escrow account for outstanding work prior to occupancy permit special condition number 47 for DEP file number 334-1802? No, this is to establish the escrow account. I don't know that we are being asked to state anything about the amount being put in, are we?
No, again, the special condition. And the accounting. Processes with the town treasurer. The commission needs to establish, vote to establish the account and then they can. Otherwise, we're just holding a check.
Because actually,
And then it's not bearing interest and there's other.
no, but it's also, after we create the account, there could be stuff comes up that says, oh, there's more work, so we need to put more money in the account, or, oh, we got something done, we need to put less in. So it just, this is a mechanism that we control the creation of the account, and then there are other people who make the determination of what should go into it.
So you've had a motion,
Yeah, second, all those in favor? Aye.
No.
And one nay. Okay, moving on to the minutes. Have people had a chance to review the minutes for January 8th?
Yeah.
Any changes or anything? Can I have a motion to approve the minutes for the January 8th, 2025 meeting?
Second.
All those in favor?
aye,
Aye. Any comments or changes on the January 22nd minutes?
That's good.
we're good.
Can I have a motion to approve the minutes for January 22nd, 2025?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Have people had a chance to review the executive,
Yes,
any changes or corrections?
December 27th, 2024.
Correct.
Good.
Okay, so can I have a motion to approve but not release the executive session minutes for December 27th, 2024?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. So we are not going to talk about the other items just because there's a lot of people who are interested and people can't be watching online. So we will pick these up to the 26th meeting. Also, Matt, you put a note in here to remind people that on March 5th, we will be back here for the special meeting to talk about parklands use of the Central Conservation Area.
Land Use Preservation Foundation will be here.
Somebody from that, yes,
Yeah.
they've been involved.
A representative, okay.
Yes,
That's what we're asking him.
so if there's no other business, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Figure out, take that off.
Eric, you have the pen, all right?